Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. You are now tuned in to your favorite podcast, Featured, and I'm your host with the most, Kush Tucker, with my fellow co-host.
Mike L, peace and love, everyone.
And today's special guest is Paris Draper.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, it took me a long time to get here, but I'm happy I'm here.
We happy to have you here.
Great.
Today, Paris Draper is promoting her new single, Going Dumb. Let's get straight to it.
This be crazy.
Ain't got nothing on me. Talk that shit, then you'll see. It's not what it seems. I'll run you down, please. You ain't stopping me. So go, please, or come slide on me. Talking that shit ain't bad at home. Drop that addy, you know I come. I was raised by beasts, I was raised by the streets. I'm popping my top on every beat. Came from nothing, so that grind was something bumping. Now I'm up, everyone jumping in the club, throwing hundreds up. Have you ever slept with the enemy? I have, and she's dead to me. Real demon, ain't no loving me. I'm outside where the money be. I'm on tour, come find me. I wish you would really try me. I don't gotta speak, it shows. I got an essence of gold. Real soldier, been beaten down. Made peace with my demons now. Going up to the skyline.
Man, y'all want to hear the rest? Y'all got to go tune in and download that. Feel me? Right now, ASAP.
I know that's right.
Where can they find that? Please tell them.
You can find that. Well, actually, right now it's not out. So if you want to hear it, you have to come to one of my shows.
Well, good.
It's gonna be out on my EP Fed Up, which is gonna be out in October.
Good.
You have an exact date in October?
October 29th.
For sure. So y'all be on the lookout for Fed Up on October 29th. Don't miss out.
Most
It's
definitely.
gonna be so hard. Like,
Will they be able to find it on other distribution platforms?
yeah, so it's gonna be on all streaming platforms as well as YouTube, and I think I'm also gonna drop it on SoundCloud. But I'm mostly gonna do it Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music.
Nice.
Okay. You got specifics, though. That's good to have specific, like a target place where you want to put your project.
Yeah, I just want everybody to be able to get their hands on it. It's a 13-song EP, so it's a lot going on, but it's one of those like projects where you have to listen to it from like the top to the bottom to understand the story. But it's a
Oh,
really
nice.
good
So
one.
everything is linked together.
I love that.
Yeah.
See,
I like that.
I'm for sure download it myself.
Yeah.
Because I love storytelling albums, or like that's what I love about Kendrick Lamar is that like a lot of his songs connect. It tells a whole story. So like I'm definitely gonna peep your stuff out, Paris Draper.
Thank you. It's really just about like my life from 2020 till now, like 2024. Like I talk about me being homeless, like living out of my car, being in toxic abusive relationships, you know, going hard at my dreams, trying to make some pay. Like I talk about a lot of shit, but I think at the end of the day, like a lot of the music right now, they don't really talk about like real stuff. They always talk about like superficial things.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to talk about real things that are authentic, because the climate of today's like world, like not everybody's like making money and like having a good
No,
life. Like,
true.
you
Not
know
at
what
all.
I mean?
For real.
So it's important to talk about like the struggle, so people know like, you know, artists are real people too.
Yeah, no,
that's
for
real.
sure. I
That's
mean,
real.
some people come from being rich and become artists, but most of us it's the struggling artist story, you know?
Yeah, like rags to riches is pretty much like
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Nah, I love it.
No, that's good. And the story always is remembered better.
Yes.
So that means, you know.
Because it has a beginning
Yeah, totally.
and an end.
Totally.
Well, not really necessarily end, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
I think the cool thing about like my project is that it starts off with me rapping, and then towards the end it's like me singing. So it's like it starts off with like really rough, like in your face, like demanding respect, but then like at the end it's like really vulnerable and emotional. So like that's why I said like you have to listen to it all together so
like
that you
that.
can understand like both sides. Like
yeah.
Correct.
one side is like, if you fuck with me, I'll shoot you in your face. But the other side is like, I'm super sensitive and like love me.
But no, you need that balance.
Yeah.
Because you got to be both people in the
We all
world.
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need
Yeah.
love. We all want love.
Nah.
Nah.
And we want to give
authentically,
love
like how
too.
you said, authentically.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what a lot of hip hop is missing right now is an authentic story. Like you say, everybody's trying to go for the glitz and glam and talk about shit that everyone might not really be able to relate to. you
Yeah.
know?
I think like it's so important, especially because I was on another podcast, like I want to say like a month, 2 months ago, the Leak podcast, and I had actually performed this exact song, "Going Dumb," and they were
It's
like,
popular then.
yeah,
It's
and they
bomb.
were like, oh, like you should make more music like Ice Spice and Sexy Red, and I was like,
No.
what? Like, I literally told him, I was like, I respectfully disagree with your statement. Like, I'm gonna make music that I resonate with, and the people that get it, get it. The people that don't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like everybody.
Amen.
Else. Like, that's just weird. Like, that's
For
really
real.
weird.
Yeah.
How can you make music that you don't make?
Yeah, like I told him, I had explained to like some people too. I was like, I had made a song where it was like on some like Sexy Red, like Lotto stuff, and I would never put it out because when I listen to it, I like baby vomit in my
It's
mouth.
like cringe, huh?
Yeah, it's just so cringy. Like, I'm really not like that kind of person. Like, I don't like talking about like my like parts and things like that. I just think it's
Yeah.
so. It's just so superficial because honestly, at the end of the day, like, what does sex give you except for sex? Like, they're not gonna get anything out of it unless like you're a 304, and I'm not a 304, so I'm not gonna talk about that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. That's,
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That's real.
That makes sense. No, you keeping it 100.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no.
You gave them the metrics on that shit.
Yeah, totally.
It's a real analytics on that. Now that's real. Because when you got more to offer, give more.
Yeah, like and especially like I was on TikTok the other day, and a lot of people have been like commenting on how Lotto's like main single from her album Sugar Honey Iced Tea, Brokey, like is so tone deaf to like right now because like you're calling all of your fan base broke and you know that they're broke. Like,
Yeah.
well, how is that helping your cause? And
But that's what Lil Wayne used to do all the time. He still do it. If you listen to Lil Wayne music, who's he talking about that's broke?
Yeah.
He talking about regular citizens.
Yeah,
Like, he talking about
totally.
regular niggas that's buying his music. like,
yeah, I mean, but I get it. But also, I think like when Lil Wayne was popping, like people were making tape. Like there wasn't like a lot like going on like economic.
nah,
Yeah.
I agree
Like
with you.
right now, economically, like their inflation is super high. People are struggling to like pay rent.
Yeah, we post-COVID.
Yeah, like
Post-COVID stuff is different.
especially since like we live in California, like it's not the same for like other people in different states because you could live in Minnesota and get like an apartment for like $500, $800.
Correct.
You know?
Nah, for sure.
Like, but out here, it's like you want a studio apartment. You're looking at like $1,750, $1,800 for a studio, like
Totally.
not even a 1 bedroom. So, I think
Nope.
it's important to talk about the real shit and to really connect with the audience. Like, I want to build a community of people that are just striving for better life and striving to get to where they want to be and live a life that they deserve. Like, I
Exactly.
think that's so important. And I also talk about like mental health issues because myself, I deal with like depression, anxiety, and I also talk about that stuff because everybody in this world has mental health problems. Like,
Yes.
even if you think you don't have it, everybody has it because if you get nervous, that's anxiety. If you get
Totally.
sad, that's
if you
depression.
think you don't have it, you really have it.
And
That's
I'm
what I
glad you're
always say.
glad you're mentioning that because people think when you say anxiety, that's nothing,
Nah, it's
but it
something-
counts.
But it's nothing because we so conditioned of like living in fight or flight mode
Yeah.
to where it's like now we've normalized it. Think about like how much we normalize like seeing violent stuff on Instagram,
Yeah.
or Facebook or any of that type of stuff. Like people don't even go like, oh my God, I just saw the cartel chop a head off on Facebook. Like people kind of look more like, let me find some more shit like this. I didn't know there was shit like this going on in the world.
Well, think about when you see something where they show someone on the subway being attacked. No one's stopping it. They're
Yeah,
filming
they're
it.
filming it.
There was a time you wouldn't have filmed because cameras didn't exist and people would have got involved.
Like, hey man, stop
Like,
messing with
yeah.
that
I
woman.
mean, it's the same
Correct.
thing with the George Floyd thing. Like, everybody saw, like, the cops, like, kneeling on him, and they saw him actively saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. There was probably, like, 30 people around there.
Hell yeah.
Nobody interjected. Nobody did anything. They just held up their cameras. Like,
Totally.
and it's just, like, a really sad situation because at the end of the day, like, if it was back in the time of, like, Selma and, like, Martin Luther King, like, people would have, like, tackled like that, like
Yeah, they'd have got involved.
Yeah, they would have got involved, and
Yeah.
I think it's important to talk about that kind of stuff. Like, even in Going Dumb, like the first line of my second verse is, "I'll never be free as long as I have melanin in my jeans," and so it's like I'm also like touching on like the racial inequalities in the world. Like, it can be like you're Black, you're Asian, Latinx community, like. We all are not going to be free because systematically we are already at the bottom and we have to work 20 times harder than our white counterparts.
Yeah.
So I also talk about that kind of stuff too because it's just important to be like aware of what's going on, not only politically but also economically, because this is what everyday people are going through. And you know, right now I'm an everyday person, and I know when I like become famous and like, you know, I'm making paper and stuff, like my music will change, but I'm still gonna talk about root causes of situations because I want the world to be a better place.
No, totally.
No, definitely.
I
And
agree.
artists have a really, we have like a hand in that because art can form society.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? We can,
120%.
yeah, so we can make society move, not completely, but a certain way mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. I feel like it's like a yin and yang because, like they say, you know, art imitates life, but I believe life also imitates art. Just look
Definitely.
at how much of the culture, like, you know, hip hop, a lot of people get their style from hip hop, like how they dress, how they talk from hip hop, how they walk from hip hop. So it's a lot of stuff, like, it's a lot involved with the influence of music.
Yeah, and I think too, like if you look back at like old hip hop, like in the '90s and like even some of like the early 2000s, they talk about a lot of like stuff that was happening like politically and like economically and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why rap music got like such a boost because it was just so real and it was so authentic to like the people of the community. Like you're talking about things that I go through every day. Like how can I
Correct.
not listen to it?
No,
And I
exactly.
think that's the problem with rap music right now and why it's kind of like dying down is because everyone's talking about shit that's superficial and nobody's talking about like
The
what's really
struggle.
going on.
Talk about
Yeah,
Section 8.
yeah. It's
still going
all
on.
it's all bitches and switches and hoes and clothes.
Yeah.
Like nothing else. Like nothing else exists. You
Yeah,
know.
I
So
agree with you though, Paris. Like, it's
Yeah.
almost like you said it in so many other words. Like Tupac says, like we ain't gonna stop talking about it and rapping about it until things change.
Yeah.
Like I'll start rapping about other shit once this shit changes. Then
Yeah.
we ain't can't rap about it no more.
I think too, like the reason why like rap music is the way that it is because it's in the hands of white people. Like you sign to a label and the label is ran by white Jewish people. So they're gonna want you to rap about things that are like popular and like,
Consumerism.
yeah,
Consumerism.
instead of talking about like real shit. But I think too, like taking from like Tupac and like Biggie, like they were actively fighting against their labels and saying like, no, I'm gonna drop this song because there's somebody in the world that
Who
is
wants
going
to
through
get
this,
Totally.
and that's why I'm gonna drop it. Like, and I think, you know, a lot of people right now they're just so worried about making paper instead of worried about the people that are listening to the music. Like, at the end of the day, we make music for other people. Like, yeah, it's healing for
Yeah.
ourselves, but we're putting it out for other people to listen to it.
Nah,
So
totally.
you kind of have to be open to receiving that feedback from other people and being like, look, this is what I did like, this is what I didn't like. And I think a lot of rappers are just focused on making their money and not really worried about how it's affecting the community because music is so powerful. Like, every time you're like chanting like the same thing over and over and over again, it can become a reality. So if you're chanting over and over and over again, I do drive-bys, I do drive-bys, I do drive-bys, then suddenly now there's like a spike in drive-bys. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like
Even
how
if
that
it doesn't happen to you, somehow it still influences it.
exactly, yeah. So it's important to talk about real shit and to be authentic and to talk about things that are going to make the world better instead of make it digress. You know?
I have a question. May I ask your spiritual beliefs? Because I get this feeling from you of like really deep spiritual beliefs.
I'm Christian, but I don't really like. It's really complicated, like my like relationship with God because when my brother died in 2015,
My
I
condolences.
like just stopped like going to church. I was like, you know, I was like really like, how the fuck, like, because he was 2 years old.
Yeah, I feel
And
you.
like his like death is like inconclusive. Like nobody knows like how he died, and so it's like, okay, like you just like took him away, right?
They didn't put SIDS on the.
No, it wasn't SIDS.
It wasn't
like,
SIDS?
No, like
Wow.
because they would have put SIDS if that was the
Okay.
case, but
Yeah.
it was inconclusive. So like nobody knows like how he passed away. And then in 2019, my little brother on my dad's side, because they were both like half siblings. So the one on my mom's side died in 2015, and the one on my dad's side died in 2019, and he died
Damn.
from heart failure because he was a preemie baby, and he was like probably alive for like a month, and then he passed away. So I have like a really like, you know, complicated relationship with God, but I feel like God is like everywhere and he's always getting me through things. Like this whole year I've been like jobless, but I've still been able to like pay for all of my shows and like pay for stuff. So I know like God is
God's
real,
real.
and
Yeah,
like
totally.
he's like helping me in situations, but it's like
You got to give me some on
Yeah,
the
for
No,
sure.
real
I
talk,
want a
'cause-
piece of that
Hey,
too.
no, because you truly walking by trust and not by sight, not by all the bullshit and the chaos that you seeing. And this is
Yeah.
what me and him been going through the
Yeah.
past couple weeks. There's a lot of tests that make you want to doubt yourself or doubt what you pursuing or doubt that, oh man, I might not be able to pay my rent or some shit. It wants you to put that type of emotion and thought process into the variable. So
Yeah.
now that's what you get back. Like,
yeah. So that's pretty much like it, and like I don't know. I feel like you know, taking out of like being Christian, I think I just have like a relationship with God. Like sometimes I'm angry with him, sometimes like I'm sad, like sometimes I'm happy, like, but I think that's what spirituality is. It's
Yeah.
building a relationship with God.
Yes.
It's not necessarily like living the Bible by the book, because if you read the Bible, like it's basically telling you how to cultivate that relationship with God. Like, because he is always there, even in like even in your dark times, he's still there. Even if you can't see it, he's there. But it's about just staying strong in what you believe, and you know, like going with trust, like you said, like having trust and having faith that everything's gonna work out, even if you don't know how it's gonna work out.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
No, that's real. That's church right there.
That's church.
That's
Amen.
church right there. Yeah. Because you passing through real life with all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if everything's all smooth, it's easy to say God is great.
Yeah.
It's easy to say,
It's so
yeah.
easy, like, but when like you have like $0 in your bank account and you have like zero, like you have like no gas in your tank and you have to go somewhere, you're like, okay, how am I gonna make this happen? And then out of nowhere you get like $20. You're like, that's God right there.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
That's just enough.
Yeah.
I can get there.
And honestly, that's what it be like. I be feeling like God be testing you, or like the universe, whatever people want to call it, to see like how much do you want it. Because like it'll place something in front of you, but you got to take the action. Like you got to open that door. Like, do you really want this next?
Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of people forget that, like, you know, faith without works is like you're
Yeah.
not doing nothing. Like I tell people all the time, like the life I have right now has been co-created with God. Like last year in 2023, like I was in like the worst, like I was in 2 really bad relationships, but I would say like the second one was way worse than the first. And in the second one, like, you know, she had no job and I was paying like all the bills and stuff like that, and we were always arguing, and it got so bad to the point where like, you know, she tried to like place everything on me, and I was like, bro, like you don't even help me out, like you don't even pay no bills, like all I'm asking you is $800 a month. You know, it like it's not a lot. Like all I'm asking you is $800.
Not in L.A.
And like
Not in Los Angeles.
That's not a factory right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you find somewhere to post stuff for 800.
That's all you want?
yeah, like I was only asking her for $800, like
Like,
half
you ain't
the
asking
rent.
for EBT pairs. You ain't like,
Yeah,
yo, put some
no.
food in the fridge or nothing.
No, like, cause I was like, I would do all that stuff. Like, I'd rather you just pay like half the rent. And she wasn't. And I was working like 2 jobs, 3 jobs, like, you know, scamming on the side, like trying to just like make pay. And she wasn't helping me. And by like the end of 2023, like in June, we had got into this big like blowout argument, and I was just like, bro, you need to get the fuck out the house. Like, you need to get out, or like I'm going to physically kick you out. Like, you're not helping me in no way, shape, or form. And then it got to the point where like my mom came and she fought her, and then her mom came
Wow.
trying to fight my mom, so I had to interject. And her sister tried to fight me, and it was a whole thing. Then the police came, and I basically got kicked out of my apartment. And then like I got so sick, I was in the hospital for like a week and a half, and she had came to see, like, make sure I was okay. My mom came that same time, and then she kicked me out the house and took my car. So then I was carless and homeless for like 3 months, and then I finally was able to go back to my mom's house. And it was just like so much like stuff, like mentally, like I was like going through like a psychosis, like, and I just like couldn't function. And like that's how I know God is real, because like now I'm here and I'm like functioning perfectly fine and like doing exactly what I want to do. So it's like you can be at the worst place in your life and he will still get you out of it. Like, and it might be shitty time like getting out of it, but at least he got you out of it.
No,
Yeah.
totally.
And then you need those experiences.
Yeah, it's growth and
Yeah,
development.
it's growth and
shit.
development and all of
That
it.
shit molded you. Like, it made
Yeah,
you
no,
stronger.
for real. Like even before that, like when I had left like my first relationship, because she like, it was so bad. Like when we were together, she was like really financially abusive to me. Like she would say like, oh, you don't have to pay for anything, and then when I would try to pay for something, like she would stop me from paying for it and stuff like that. And then she was like super physically abusive. Like she was like hitting me all the time and stuff like that. And then we had broke up, and we were still living in the same household because I couldn't like get my own place. And you know, I'm like living my life like single, like have my own room and all that stuff, and I was paying my half of the rent, and like I was paying like $1,100 a month because it was a 2-bedroom like little house. And then like she basically found out that I was like, you know, talking to somebody else, and then she decided to like basically like put a gun to her head
Oh shit.
like a loaded gun, and like she cocked it and everything, and she was like, if you don't want to be with me, like I'm gonna kill myself, like right
Oh
here.
man.
And then
I've heard that told to me
yeah,
before,
and then
like,
she was
that's-
like, she
that's
said to
nutty.
me, she was like, you might have been able to talk your mom from talking your mom down from killing herself, but you can't talk me down. And I was like, why the fuck would you even bring that up? Like,
Yeah.
my mom trying to kill herself was for a real ass reason. Like, she just lost her kid. Like, she did not want to be here anymore. Like,
Yeah, yes,
you know
major
what I mean?
depression,
Yeah.
grief.
and like
No, for sure.
I had to like stop her from doing that stuff. So why would you even bring that kind of situation up? And
Yeah, like don't use my what
What
I'm
I
telling
shared
you is
with you.
ammo.
Yeah.
Like don't shoot.
What I
and that's
shared
what
with
most
you.
people do. Sad to say, like I be hating that shit.
I fucking hate that shit too, and it was really bad. And then, you know, she basically like fought me because I was like willing to talk to somebody else. So I called my mom and I was like, if you don't pick me up like right now, like at this exact moment, I'm gonna go to jail for murder. Like I told her, I was like, I'm gonna go to jail for murder. I'm gonna stab this bitch to death. Like I don't care. And my mom came and straight up was living out of a duffel bag. Like I only took like one pair of shoes and like a duffel bag full of clothes, and I was living like that for 3 months. And then I was having like a really bad time with my family, so I was like living out of my car for like 6 months. And then I had finally got my apartment, and then I had went through all of that stuff with like my other ex. So yeah, now I'm here, and like I'm kind of in a relationship, but I don't think I'm gonna stay in it for that much longer because
Why not?
Yeah.
How you say it? Like,
Yeah.
You said that shit so
Yeah,
casual.
yeah.
Paris.
You know what I'm saying? She's like,
She said that shit like it was a job. Well, I'm about to put in my 2-week notice. Maybe if I drop that motherfucker, like it's some
you know,
better shit out here.
Hey, I
going on.
pictured her jumping out of a plane with a parachute on.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, this has been fun.
it's really like, you know, he's French, and like when we met, like he had came out here.
Oh,
And,
bonjour.
Oui.
Like he had came out here and like it was cool, but then he was still living in France, and like now he's moving out here. Like he's gonna be here on Saturday. Like he's flying in this Saturday.
Okay.
And I don't know, like since like we've been like long distance, it just has not been positive. Like it's been like probably like the worst experiences of my life, because I'm like, bro, you're like 30,000 miles away and you're expecting me to do like all of this shit, like give you affection through a phone. Like I don't know what the fuck you want from me. Like I was like, I don't know what you want from me, bro. And then there was this time, like this was recently, I like posted this like meme of like Marilyn Monroe and like one of her roles, and she was like, if a girl is always like worried about money, how can she be worried about love? And I was like, but for real though, you know, like
That's real.
I was like, that's just
That's
like
real.
real
Nature
talk.
made it that way.
Yeah,
And
no,
then-
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and then he
Yeah.
had the nerve to like fucking like message me and be like, oh, so if you have a man, like why do you think like that, with like the thinking face? And I was like, are you fucking dumb? Like I have no money. Like of course, like I'm not gonna be worried about being in
You're
love.
not here.
Yeah, exactly. Like
You're
yeah,
not
we're
here.
together, but 30,000 miles away from
like,
each
what
other.
you mean?
Like,
And then he like, you know, wanted to call me like ungrateful and unappreciative and all of this stuff, and I was like, so you're calling me all of these names because you can't send me money. Make it make
What
sense.
sign are you?
I'm a Virgo.
Virgo.
your
What
birthday
what
coming
sign is he?
Scorpio.
That makes
man,
sense.
y'all work though.
Yeah, because he's
Water, earth.
water and you earth.
Usually that be work.
Yeah, he
as
should
well.
be watering you.
But he's not watering shit.
Yeah, you got to talk to
Yeah,
him.
you gotta tell
Well,
him.
I
You
told
gotta
him-
water
to
this
him.
garden.
You got to water the garden.
I told
for
him,
real.
I was like, I said to him, I said, look, you like, it's not even the fact that like I don't even go out my way to ask people for money. Like I'm that kind of person. Like I won't go out my way to ask anybody for money. 'Cause, like at the end of the day, I know I can get it myself. So it's like I'm not gonna go out my way to ask you. But don't have an attitude with me if I'm posting shit that's like real to like everybody's life and mine. Like I posted it on my story. Like it's
Yeah.
not like I specifically sent it to you and was like, you don't send me money. Like it was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
universal
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's
you
a
know?
universal thing.
And I was like, you're pushing your insecurities on me because
Totally.
you can't help me, and they're acting like I'm
Yeah.
asking you for money. Like
No,
I
no.
know you can't give
Yeah.
it to me.
He's saying he's telling you to suffer in silence because it's making him look bad.
Yeah.
And
Don't
the-
tell people I'm not helping.
Yeah.
And like what
They
really,
need to think I'm paying half your rent.
and
in
what really
France.
like what really pissed me off about it was like he tried to bring up my situation. He was like, well, you have a roof over your head and all of this stuff, and I was like, okay, but that's not how I want to live my life. Like I currently sleep on a couch. Like do I want to still sleep on a couch for the next 3 months? No, I would like to transfer to a bed. Like
Yeah, definitely,
No,
definitely.
come on
facts,
now,
big
like
facts.
No.
you know, and that's why I said like I don't know if we're gonna be together for much longer because I just don't think like the mindsets are like matching up.
It's
like
not clicking.
he doesn't really understand. Like he's never been in a struggle, like been in the trenches before. Like his family's like really well off. I mean, they're European, like super well off.
Yeah.
Like they have money.
So he really can't relate.
Yeah, like not at all. And like every time I tell him that, he's like, "Don't tell me what I can't understand and what I can't relate to." And I was like, but it's the truth. Like, if you could relate to it, you wouldn't be telling me the things that you're telling me. Like,
Tell him come sleep on the couch with you. Yeah. Do it for 3 weeks. Come on. Come post with me.
like, most people, like, can't even fucking do that shit. Like, he said, like, oh, I can sleep on the couch with you. And I was like, yeah, like, but could you sleep on the couch for, like, 3 months? Could you sleep on the couch for a year? I've been sleeping on the couch for damn near 2 years now. Like, most people can't do that shit, but I do it because at the end of the day, like, you know, I'm gonna sleep somewhere under a roof, like.
No, I got you. And you're still going forward with what you want to really do.
Yeah, like, and that's like the main purpose. Like, right now, like, I'm looking for a job, and I think I actually landed this job, which I'm like really happy about. But even then, it's like, okay, I already did the calculations. Like, I only have to work this job for like 4 months, and then all my music shit will be done. Like, everything I need to get done will be done with it. So I'm like, okay, like, after 4 months, I better fucking blow up because I'm not trying to work here that much longer.
No,
And we got other resources too, because we deal with organizations and other people. So you can tap in with us when we done here.
Okay,
And
nice.
we'll connect you with whoever we can connect you with and go from there. You feel me?
That would be hard, yeah, because
Yeah.
like, I'm really not trying to work there. Like, I do, because I love helping people. The job is to be a TMS technician, so it's basically a transcranial magnetic simulations.
Okay.
So essentially, I'll be working with clients and patients that have like severe depression, anxiety, and then there's some like other ones too, but it's mainly going to be like depression and anxiety. And what it is it's like magnetic simulations that are being lit up in certain places, like certain neurons in the brain, to help rewire it so
Okay.
that you're no longer like depressed or having like that much anxiety.
Oh, that's
so
dope.
it's like, I love to do that because obviously, like, I love helping people and I talk about the same stuff in my music. So like, I would love how I make money to be the same thing that like I do in like my everyday life.
make
But-
it translate.
Yeah,
and
but
connect.
it's just like, they want me to like cover up my tattoos, and like that's kind of difficult because my whole neck is blasted, and then like they want me to take out my piercings, and I just feel like it's just so much of like conforming.
They're stripping you of you.
Yeah, you know,
They're
it's
stripping
like
you of you.
so much of like conforming to a society that I don't really give a fuck about, but at the same time, like I need money, so it's like I'll make the sacrifice.
And it's like a oxymoron.
Yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
fuck.
No, it's a paradox because you got to work, and naturally you would love that your art is supporting you fully, but as you're moving towards that, you still do the normal things people do. And like you said, they want cover-ups, and it doesn't make sense. If you like me and value as the worker, why would the tattoos matter?
Yeah, but really what it is because they're white and there uppity and they like, you know how white people are, like they don't do like tattoos and piercings and stuff. Like they're gonna like really what they were saying in so many words was that if I show up in like a short sleeve, like I could be dressed appropriately, but like even if I have like some of my like tattoos showing, the immediate first thought would be like, she's a gang member and she's gonna fuck me up, like she's gonna like make my life worse, you know, like that's like basically like what they were trying to tell me. In, like,
But as a black person, you getting that just with your skin. You could be a
Yeah.
non-tatted black person and people still grab their purses like you're gonna
Yeah,
snatch
for
it.
sure.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
like I don't really like try to, you know, put that like make it like super personal, because at the end of the day, like you're either gonna like me or you're not. Like it's not that deep. Like I'm a genuine caring person. Like I want people to succeed in life and I want people to live their life, and I know what it's like to be like super depressed and like not want to be here. So of course I'm gonna like want to help you, but it's just unfortunate that like we're automatically prejudged, like not only just from our skin tone, but just from like doing things that like help us self-express ourselves.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Like in other words, a young white kid with the same tattoos would just be seen as a rocker.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know,
Surfer or
whereas but then a person of colors, for some reason, it has to be attached to prison or gangs, and they haven't even read your tattoos.
Right.
They could say love mom,
No, for sure.
dear dad. You know what I'm
like-
saying?
Yeah, it could be angels, cherubims,
All of that.
and heaven on your back, and they like,
They don't really care about that stuff though. I think like that's just like how society is. Like society is all built upon prejudgments instead of like actually caring about like who the person is internally.
Yeah.
but it's about what they feed our brains, like subconsciously. Like, you know, when they show us, we all think Africa's starving because that's all they show us, is starving African children on TV. But that's far from it. Like, that's why
So
they going over there
far.
getting all the jewels and all the gold, because that's where all the resources is. And it's same for like white folks. They make it seem like white people got all their shit together. Like they always so perfect because of what they show you on TV. But it's white people that ain't got insurance. My homegirl just told me she got into an accident with a white woman, and the white woman was arguing with her because she didn't want to give up her insurance because she didn't even have no
She
insurance.
didn't have no insurance.
Like you would think if she white, oh, she got insurance, registration, everything together, license. No,
Hey, 60% of people on welfare in the country, in this country, are white.
yeah.
So
No,
your
for
biggest
sure.
people who pull on the welfare system are not blacks or Latinos or Asians. It's
Nope.
actually white people. You know? And I'm not saying it's wrong. I want you to get whatever resources, because I believe everyone has the right to survive and thrive.
Totally.
But the way it's portrayed via media is always those niggas over there. You know,
It's
that-
always looking for free.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're sucking on the resources.
And to tie back on like your comment about Africa was like recently like me and like my family were doing. I have like two little sisters, like two little siblings. Like my little brother, he's 6, and my little sister, she's 8, and they love doing like these "Would you rather" like challenges on YouTube. Like I don't know
yeah,
if
I've
you've
seen
seen
I know
that.
you're talking
I've
about.
seen that. My
And
daughter
one
be
of them
doing
was
that.
like, give clean water to kids in Africa, or like help like something else. And I was like, clean water to kids in Africa, like they have clean water in Africa. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about?
No,
I
for
was
sure.
like, what's going on? And you know, my sister was like, no, they don't. And I was like,
Mental
"You're 8?"
projections.
Yeah, I was like, you're 8, you have no idea, but Africa is like the richest continent in the planet, like on the planet.
The largest.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you even
Largest and richest.
Like, why are you even saying that? Like, Egypt is in Africa. Like, Egypt had everything.
The
gold,
Middle
all
East
that.
is in
Say
Africa.
Egypt so much though. People be thinking Egypt is like its own place.
And it's
like,
not.
And it's
people
just
all the
northern
time-
Africa.
Yeah,
It's northern Africa.
And really, what
It's
it
like
is-
Washington D.C. about to get America. Like,
yeah.
Go up to Washington.
Yeah.
And really, what it is that they hate the fact that African people don't want to live this colonialized life. Like, they live the life that's off of nature. Like, they don't have to do too much. Like, everything that they need is right there. So it's like, why would I even go as far as to build roads and build a car and all of this stuff when I can walk down the street and ask my friend, like ask my neighbor for some flour, and they'll give me some flour. Like,
Nah,
you know,
you
it's
ain't
not
Where Europe
hard.
is rough, and so because they live so rough in Europe, they always wanted to control nature, because there's only certain parts of Europe that have fertile land. So the French, the Germans, the English would all fight over certain areas. It's like, man, this is the best place for food can grow, because it don't grow everywhere there.
I mean, I would say to that is like, why did you, spend so much time making castles and stuff? Like, you guys could have created.
But they didn't make those castles. Moors made those castles. See, once you start dwelling into the history, Europe was really
We done made everything on the
yeah.
planet.
The
like
Moors
you said.
built Europe, and then the Europeans took it over from the Moors, and the Moors are Africans. So most people don't know that history because they call that the Dark Ages. Have you ever heard when they talk about the Dark Ages? That's when the Moors ruled. They make you think the Dark
pulling them
Ages
out.
was plagues, and no, it wasn't. That's when you had African rule over Europe, and they civilized Europeans. They taught them how to put up gas lamps. They taught them how to put the cobblestone streets in. So if you don't
How
go,
to make a what do you call that? The system.
sewer systems,
Sewer
and
system.
I didn't
yeah,
even use that though.
Because they was just throwing they piss and shit on the floor, like
like right in the middle of the road and getting
Yeah,
sick.
they were doing that, but they were also like putting it like in the water, and then they were bathing in that.
Yeah, totally.
Oh
water.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I would tell people all the time, like, have you guys watched Bridgerton?
No,
like-
No, I haven't seen Bridget.
It's like this show on Netflix. It's basically glamorizing like the courting culture in like the 1800s in like Europe.
Now, when you say courting, like dating culture,
No, like they were basically like they would find somebody to marry.
okay, so the actual arranged
Yeah,
marriages.
like actual
Okay.
like courting. Like it would be like magnificent balls, and then they would find like the most eligible bachelor, and they would try to basically have that person like, propose to them. And it was
Okay.
supposed to be like in a matter of like weeks, like not like how it is now, like years. Like it was like in a matter
she
of
was
weeks.
trying to get locked down.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to like marry me type stuff. So they kind of like are like glamorizing it, but I was like telling like some of my friends, I was like, that these people was smelling like piss and shit and spreading syphilis like
Yeah,
no
totally.
other.
Oh yeah,
Like,
like stinking bad.
you know what I mean? I was telling them, I was like, bro, there's no way you can glamorize this fucking culture to me. And be like, oh, like, it's so wonderful. Like, this guy is a prince. And I'm
It's
like,
syrup
yeah.
on shit.
And I'm like, this dude is like bathing in like shitty water.
Yeah,
He thinks it's
totally.
okay. It has
Totally.
no soap, no nothing. Just putting shitty water under his armpits and then like putting on this really nice suit and walking outside.
Lots of
smelling
cologne,
like shit.
for real. Lots of cologne. That's why cologne became popular in France.
That
and
shit smell off, huh?
yeah, because the people didn't bathe there. They
But it's
didn't
still
pay.
bad though, 'cause
Yeah, no.
like you really just like put syrup on shit and calling it pancakes. Like it's still shit. It don't matter how much syrup you put on that motherfucker. It's shit.
Yeah, like, and then I was telling people too, I was like, you know that America was supposed to be a place with no taxes. Like, the reason why the British left UK was to stop paying taxes.
Completely.
And then they essentially reinstated taxes to help pay for their wars so that they can have more land and like have more control and more power. And I was telling people this because they didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, like that's what it is. So right now we're paying like 30%, like over like 50% in taxes. Like we're paying taxes on our homes, paying taxes for like the roads, paying taxes for food, paying taxes for like literally everything. And the whole purpose of this country was for us not to pay taxes at all.
Exactly.
And now you see the contradiction in all of it. Then if you read a document called HGR 192, there hasn't been any money here since 1933. So every time someone kills somebody for $1, like it's not even real. You know, the federal government only sees money as gold or silver coins. I don't have any gold or silver coins.
I know that's right.
You get what I'm saying? So the paper money or the debits, the credits, any of that, that's already paid
It's all
for.
monopoly.
Yeah.
It is.
It's all
So
pretend.
yeah, so it's a lot of things that we have to want to grow into too.
Yeah. I mean, 2021 was my phase where I got like, I felt fed up. Like with your, like the name of your album, I felt fed up because I'm like, I was doing mushrooms, doing mushrooms and shit. And I'm like, the mushrooms is bringing me more and more into like, bro, why I gotta wake up every morning to go to this fucking job for this fake ass money? Like, we all just actors pretending like all this shit real. And we could all shut it down at any time with a unified thought and be like, nigga, I'm not doing this shit no more. I'm about to wake up every morning and do what I want to do.
That part.
Like, if everybody did that, like, the whole system would crumble. I'm about to just wake up every morning and do what the fuck I really want to do for the day.
I remember when I was in economics class and the teacher was straight up saying like, paper is like, money is just paper. Like, you can rip that shit and burn it. It's just paper. The only reason people care about it is because we put value behind it.
It's got emotional value.
Yeah, it's our
Yeah.
thought process and emotional value behind it.
Like, that's all it is. And I was just thinking about that, like, and at the time, like, I started working when I was like 14. Like, I was helping my mom pay bills and stuff, like, super young. And I was just thinking, like, so essentially what you're telling me is that I'm working so fucking hard to take money that's like not even like real, like at all.
Well, your taxes actually go to the IMF, International Money Fund. So when you give your taxes to the IRS and people are like, oh, that pays for roads and schools, it doesn't. It goes to the end. Look it up. You can look it up. None of this is a secret. It goes to the IMF to pay for the bankruptcy they filed in 1933. See, once a corporation files bankruptcy, then it operates differently. So everything, like when you go to, let's say, a car dealership to get a car, it's already paid for. The corporate status in bankruptcy. So everything is already discharged.
Oh, fuck.
You get what I'm saying? So this is a major, I could say, information that's coming out publicly now.
That America's a big Ponzi scheme.
I feel like a lot of people are just gonna like just turn up and have a revolution. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's gonna happen soon.
I don't know. It's a lot of people that's comfortable, Paris. Like,
There's
it's a lot of
people
people
that are
that like
comfortable.
want to keep on getting the county checks and stuff for the rest of their life, and like
There's-
they ain't looking for like no end goal. Like, all that stuff was supposed to be for you to be like eventually, like how you say, like, okay, I got this plan with the job. Once I work there for 4 months, I can skedaddle. Feel me? Like, that's how a lot of the stuff is set up for you to have a plan. But most people lost motivation, and they was like, know what?
And you might personally have that own motivation of what you want to do, so naturally you might assume others do.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a natural assumption. I just feel like I'm gonna be that person to spark the revolution.
Good.
You on that, real
They're
talk.
good though. For real.
talk,
For
real
real.
talk,
For real.
Yeah, like, I just feel that way. I feel that way only because there's just so much things that are wrong with the system that if we all banded together, like, and I'm not saying it has to be like on some civil war, like, type stuff, like where people have to lose their lives in order for us to get where we want to be. I just think if enough people were on the same page, we would be able to create actual change within the world. I just think a lot of people are so divided right now, especially with the political system, like having Democrats and Republicans. It creates a lot of division, and it creates like people wanting to fight against each other instead of being unified and being like, yo, like, we have the same, like, values. Like, a lot of people in the world are moderate. Like, they're right in the middle. Like, they have conservative values and they have liberal values. Like, there's only a certain amount of people that are like really left and really right, and then
Correct.
like really really left and really really right. Like there's only a certain amount of people for that, but a
Yeah.
lot of people in the world are moderate, and that's why you see a lot of people saying like, I don't think I am gonna vote, or if I do vote, I'm probably gonna vote third party, or if I do vote, I'm gonna vote for whoever I think is gonna help the country more. But if we were all unified together and we actually just like stopped the two-party system and we just combined both of like the values of like each side, a lot of people would be able to thrive in the world because it would be more unification happening instead of division. And that's like the main issue is like a lot of people that are Republicans like to, you know, throw religion in people's face and be like, that's not what God wants, like especially when it comes to like abortion and things like that. But if you really think about what God wants, like God tells you like not to judge other people and to worry about yourself. Like
Yep.
worry about
Mind your
what you
business.
yeah, like worry about what you got going on. Like you can't be putting your like beliefs on other people because that's not their journey. And you can't, you know, conform somebody else's journey to your journey because that just defeats the purpose of a spiritual journey. Everybody's going through their own personal thing. And so it's about like also understanding that we're all humans and we're all going to make mistakes and we're all going to have our own judgments on things, but we have to be able to be unified as a front and be like, look, like this is what we all believe in as people. Like as people, I think we all believe in not having to pay $2,000 for one bedroom apartment. I think you know, I think that's
How do you normalize that, especially if the jobs don't pay $40 an hour?
exactly.
Now, if the
And
jobs pay $40, $50 an hour, I'm fine with your $2,000 a month rent.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know.
And
It's
like
equating.
yeah, and that's the issue is that too because America, we have federal laws, but each state has their own laws, so it just makes it even more like confusing unless like you live.
See states as countries, because when you look up these legal names, a state is just another word for country.
Yeah.
So California's a country, Texas is a country, Arizona's a country. States make it seem like we're still collected,
And we're not.
and we're not.
And that's like one of the main problems too is because someone from California is not going to relate to somebody from Atlanta, like because they're having two different issues. You know what I mean? So it's like it's
totally.
hard to unify people when everybody has like their own set of like things going on.
And then a lot of people are struggling with basics. So you got to have the 5 needs: air, water, food, clothing, and shelter. If you're missing any one of those 5 needs, you can't have positive forward movement until it's fixed.
Exactly.
So a lot of people are missing some of those.
And then like too like I heard that they're like making like homelessness like a crime. And I'm like,
Oh,
how,
yeah.
and I'm like, how are you making homelessness a crime when you guys are the reason these people are homeless? Like, I know that there are some people in the world that choose to live like the hobo lifestyle, but even those people that choose to live the hobo lifestyle, like they go across the states and they do like farm work and stuff like that in order to like have shelter and like have food and stuff like that. So that's like hobo like culture, like not like people that are right now like in a tent like on the side of the street trying to figure out like what's their next move. And then of course they're gonna start doing drugs and stuff like that because how else are you gonna cope with living on the street and like not having anything? Like you're gonna want to
totally.
do
Yeah, how do you distract yourself from this?
exactly.
Trifecta.
Yeah.
And so that's why they end up doing drugs, and then it's like a whole cycle. Like, okay, now I'm hooked on this drug, and I have to find money to buy this drug, and they're not. Now you're not worried about your basic needs like shelter,
totally.
food, air. Like you're not worried about that stuff because you're only worried about how can I get this heroin or how can I get this meth, and then it creates another issue because back in the day, drugs were pure. Like if you got heroin, it was pure heroin. If you got meth, it was pure meth. Like it was a bad thing to do it, but it wasn't gonna kill you after a long time. Now it's like everything is cut with fentanyl. Like so it's like even if you do like the littlest amount, you will die because fentanyl is so high. And I was telling people too, like, because there was people around me that like do drugs and stuff, and I was like, you need to stop doing drugs. I told them I was like, if it was like 20 years back, I probably would have said like, do you, but be safe. Now I tell everybody like, nah, like don't do fucking drugs because if you do it, you will die. Like I told them I was like, I had a client when I was working at a senior living home, and she had really bad like chronic pain, and so she had a fentanyl patch. Do you know how much percentage, like how many milligrams was in her fentanyl patch?
But like 500.
0.00001%. And
wow.
it was effective to her whole body.
Damn. Yeah, no,
That's like
I've always heard on
that's
the
like a
news, strong as
10,000s
hell.
or something, like a
Yeah.
10,000. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I'm saying in terms of that's a little amount,
But it
but it's
affects you
powerful.
in a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like imagine if somebody was to have, so usually if you get like a dime bag of like heroin,
Mm-hmm.
you would only take like a little bit of it, and like burn it down and then like shoot it up. So if you even take like your usual somebody that has been doing heroin for years, right? They do their same amount of heroin that they've always done their whole entire life. If they do that same amount of heroin and it has even 0.1% of fentanyl in it, they will die from an overdose.
Wow.
Because it's going straight into the bloodstream.
And
Yeah, it's just a really powerful drug.
and it's immediately effective. Like by like right after you shoot it up, you will go into an OD and you will need Narcan. And if you don't have Narcan right there, you will die.
Wow.
God damn.
Wow.
That's sick. Like,
And it's like it's really hard to like talk to people about it because they don't understand the gravity of the situation. But until you have people like, I also used to work in like detox, and so I know people who do drugs and stuff like that. And when you see how it affects people's lives and how desperately they need it, and then knowing that when they go out on the street and they buy it, that can be their last day, it's like even more impressionable for me to be like, don't do drugs. Like, and I feel like even now, like, especially when I tie it back to music, everybody in the music industry just talks about drugs. Like, they talk about perkies and they talk about, promethazine and stuff like that. And a lot of people are dying because these perks are laced with fentanyl, and these drugs are laced with fentanyl, and these people don't know that it's laced with fentanyl because they're not you're not testing your drugs.
yeah.
If you're doing drugs, you're supposed to test them to know like what's
totally.
in it.
Especially if it's like level 5, like it's higher. If it's not weed.
Well,
even
it's coming
weed
from
nowadays,
so
you
many
gotta
places now, though.
Yeah.
Because it used to be maybe, especially living on a border town, Cali's a border town, you kind of have things coming up from Tijuana and places like that.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like any man's land.
Yeah.
So it used to be certain rules and regulations. I'm saying even on the black market. But now it's just like ship it out. We'll see what happens. We think we fucked that batch up, but send it out anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I just think it's just a systematic thing for them to do that so that they can kill off people. Like, I think that's really what it is.
Well, you got to look at the world depopulation plan by 2045. You can look all this stuff up. By 2045, they want 90% of the population removed. But the other statistics show that Europeans are going to be 0 to 1% of the earth by 2050. So is it possible that a 2045 plan lines up with a 2050? Yeah, you got to look at these numbers. The data's out there. These are FBI statistics. You can look that up. So it's
Well, I do believe the European being 0 to 1% because a lot of white women are not able to conceive babies, and like it's been like a really big thing, and I think that's also why they want like a lot of people to stop like having abortions and stuff like that, so that they can keep creating humans, so that they can keep working for like the slave labor like workforce.
It's a nigga factory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically what it is. But like that's exactly why we go to school. We would go to school for like what is it?
12 years.
12 years of our lives we go to school, but we don't learn anything really substantial to help us in the world.
Yeah, you should be learning taxes, credit,
Real
Yeah.
shit.
all kinds of
Buy
stuff.
But
land.
really what it is they're conditioning you to wake up at 7 a.m.,
Yep.
be done by like 4 p.m., and that's the same of a work shift. That's the same
yeah.
amount of time of a work shift. So, you're going there, you have a 10-minute break, 30-minute break, 10 minutes is recess, 30 minutes is lunch, same
Yeah.
thing at work. 10-minute, 30
Yeah.
minutes, and it's the same amount of time in between. So
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
good.
They instituted that. It's deep that you're saying what you're saying, because they instituted that at the turn of the century once the Industrial Revolution was starting. Because people were used to farms and working for themselves. So remember, people for the longest time have taken care of themselves. A lot of people didn't want to go into the cities or into the factories because it's like, well, how am I going to feed myself? So they invented supermarkets. So gang of stuff didn't start until maybe like the early 1900s.
Not totally.
Because they were like, well, how do we satisfy them? In fact, the jobs used to pay well and had good pensions. But within 2-3 generations of the factories, they all of a sudden realized, nah, we're going to send this to Taiwan. We're going to send this over to China and Singapore. So that's why a lot of jobs left our country. Because the corporate model was always money first, people second.
Yeah.
Money first, people second.
When the people really matter more, because no money can be in circulation without the people.
But not to the corporate model, because the corporate model is set up that they can monetize your pain.
Nah, totally.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So even though, let's say we're like, well, why aren't they giving us jobs? We can't buy the products. They like, yeah, but we're going to give you a grant or something else to pay for the mental illness that's caused by the lack of jobs.
Yeah.
Because the amount of
You can
times
use that money to spend on the product.
Yeah.
But even now, it's like so many people are having mental health issues and they can't even go to a therapist. You like know how much it is to do a 1 hour session with a therapist?
What, about 250?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I figured
Yeah.
at least 250.
Like about
two-
250. Yeah.
If they well known, 500.
And then if you have insurance, it's only gonna cut that down by like half. So like what is that, like 150? So
Yeah.
like that's still like a lot of people like. I mean, imagine like if you're like really depressed, you're probably not gonna have a job because you're like you're in your room, you're sulking, like you don't want to get up, you don't want to do anything. So how are you gonna expect somebody who is like really depressed and on their last leg to want to give you $150 that they don't have?
No, totally. Or even if they do have it, the depression makes you say, is it worth spending $150 on the
Yeah.
mental health, especially since it's not a one-off?
Yeah, and
You got to
have
keep coming to see this person
And then
regularly.
sometimes they want you to come in like 2-3 times a week. So like that's a lot of money out of your pocket. And then on top of that, you're gonna have to pay for your meds. Like
Yeah, once again, monetizing your pain.
like it's just
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like they don't really care about the
But we have to care more.
yeah.
Because if we say they don't care, whoever they are,
Yeah.
we got to step up and say, well, how do we care?
Yeah.
How do I get involved?
And one of the things that like I have been saying like for the longest time, I was like when I get big and I have like a lot of money, I want to open up like a homeless rehabilitation like center. And so essentially I would buy out like 3 apartment complexes and I would make them like all low income. Like so then that way everybody can be able to have a shelter
Oh
over their
yeah,
head.
no, for sure.
And then in the homeless
Everybody deserve
rehabilitation,
that.
I would essentially like get homeless off the street. Whether they want to come, like it's gonna be up to them. But I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do it. But it's gonna be half detox, half therapy. So I know a lot of the people homeless right now are on drugs, so they would immediately go into the detox program.
Hell yeah.
And they'll be able to detox that out and everything that they're going through. And then on top of that, they'll have therapy so that they can get reacclimated into society. Like being reacclimated into being under a roof. Because imagine if you was living on the street for 4 years, 5 years. Living in a house is going to be scary to you because it's like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
your mind is flipped
Yeah,
into
like,
something else.
you don't know what's going on. So it's important that they have that opportunity to talk about it and get reacclimated. And then while they're there, it'd be like basically a 2-3 month program. And by their like 2 month, we will be basically putting them into like trades and like being able to like actually sustain themselves. So like getting an actual career job where they can make money and like be sustainable. And basically that the 3rd month they'll be working that job. And then after the 3rd month they'll transition into the low income housing. And then they'll be able to like, you know, live life and stack
Really
their
get on
bread.
their
And then
feet.
if they want to leave the low income house, they totally can. And then that room will be open to somebody else. And then it will just be like, you know, a cycle.
Hey, you giving this a lot of thought. I applaud you for that. That's a lot. That's a lot of
wanna-
details right
I
there.
want to do something similar. I wasn't thinking about like housing people just because what you said, everyone doesn't want to come necessarily. But like what I would want to do, like my plan is to do the same thing with our nonprofit is like just go around, have like a big van that has like a shower in it and allow the
Oh.
homeless to come in there and shower,
Oh,
give
that's
them, you know,
nice.
free warm clothes, clean
Yeah.
clothes, give them a hot meal, or even if it's not a hot meal, like a sandwich, some chips, but like something healthy though.
Yeah.
You know, some
And
fruit.
I think even like having people that do that.
And then give them resources when
Yeah.
they are ready. Like if you, when
Exactly.
you are ready to, you know, get a roof over your head.
I was just gonna say, like, having people, like, if you do stuff like that, it would even help my cause because then it's like, okay, we have people that will, like, give us a shower and stuff, but then once they are showering and things like that, they're gonna want it regularly.
Exactly.
And then they're gonna want to, like, you know, get into those programs to be able to live that life. So I think stuff like that is really important, like, having
Nah, it
people
is.
do different things to help, you know, get them out of the mindset of, like, this is always what it's gonna be, you know?
We should collab on this.
Yeah,
No, for
I'm
sure.
We
down.
should collab on
down.
this because it's a conversation we have to have so we don't blame they anymore.
Yeah.
No, I
You
totally
get what I'm saying? Because as long as we blame they, we don't take
Nothing never
responsibility.
gets done.
And then we don't really use our power. And what I'm starting to find out, it's all kinds of grant programs and other stuff that you can solicit that there's money sitting there. They might pay for a van. They might, you understand what I'm saying? They might literally pay for all of that. And you might not make what you would call money in terms of like a great salary or something, but you might be able to weave it all together.
I think for me, like, even like as I said, like, you know, when I get so big and I want to do this, it wouldn't even be about the money for me because I'd be making so much money from my other things, like my businesses and my music and stuff like that. I would genuinely just be doing this so that people can live a life that they deserve. Like, and I think that's like the most important part is that, you know, take out, you know, the need for money and like actually like care about the person that's in front of you.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause that's where the value
you know, because
is.
like you have to think about if that was me. Like if I was on the street, I would want somebody to like take out the paper and just give a fuck about what I'm going through. And that's what's important. I think a lot of people only care about the money aspect and they don't care about the fact that like this is an actual human being that's going through shit. Like
Oh God.
I was living out of my car, so like I know exactly how it is to be homeless, like having to like figure out how you're gonna take a shower, how you're gonna figure out how to get to work and things like that. So it's like I understand that struggle, and that's why it's even more important for me to like give back to my community and give back to the people that I don't have. Like
Heck yeah. Is there any final shout outs you want to give before we get up out of here?
final shout outs, I have a show this Sunday with AIA Collaborative at Art Bar LA, so pop out. $20 at the door, and I also have another show on September 6th at Open LA with at We Own Hollywood.
Most definitely.
Pop out to that. If you follow my Instagram, I did go Paris, and my TikTok, I did go Paris. I have the ticket links in my bio, so you know, go.
What about
Click
YouTube?
that.
You got YouTube as well?
I have a YouTube as well. All of that are in my links, so you can go ahead,
Sure,
click
sure.
the link tree, and it has everything there for you. I'm so happy that you had me on the show. And
Well, we were happy to have you. No, you were a very
It's
great
amazing.
guest, for real.
thank you.
You know, and you know what you want.
You know?
You know what you want.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Follow this girl right here. She's
Definitely.
an amazing artist coming out of LA. And
You saw her first on Featured. Mike L. Peace and love.
Let's go. I'm blowing chronic smoke in the wind. Going places you've never been, accumulating dividends. Mostly.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention and your subscriptions. If you have a business or a service you would like to promote, or if you don't have one, you just want to come on the show and talk and be a guest on Featured, please DM us at featured_guests on Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you. Peace and love.